AF1 new throw 12 here. Sorry, I had to actually cut that off before I could actually give a proper outro. But make sure you leave a like on this video, last one, and all the videos that I've done. It shows your support and really makes me happy. And make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And remember that a live stream will be happening this Friday or Saturday, depending. I'll put up a video that, just the going live in the description down below. It'll be the Twitch. I might even link my own Twitch channel. Not my own. I might link it just to be sure. I'll be playing some Dishonored for maybe a couple hours. Then I'll switch to New Vegas for a couple hours or so. Because I need to play a good Bethesda game for a while. I wouldn't mind starting with Fallout 3, but that shit takes so fucking... It's so stupid how old it is and it doesn't work on fucking Windows 10, and I fucking hate Windows 10. But I did get Fallout New Vegas to finally work, so I'll stream that after some Dishonored. I might just make that I just want to get through Dishonored as quick as possible. It won't take me long at the pace I'm going. I mean, I got through that way faster than I usually did. Anyways, enough about my stream. Let's get into the story after Keiichi basically almost died. Oh, he's still alive. Probably unconscious and bleeding everywhere. But this might be the final. Depending on how much is left, of course. My head was pounding. The sky was bright. It was cold, too. It hurt. Each sensation I felt led to a new and different one awakening. When I came to, I was lying face first on a dry riverbed. A few body parts hurt a lot. The skin over a bunch of my joints was torn, turned blue or red or oozing of blood. I could tell it was my bones that were in pain from the agony I felt whenever I moved. Oh, fuck. I looked up and saw how high the bridge from which I had fallen was. Considering I dropped from here, it was a miracle that I could open my eyes again. Right next to me was a broken, upside-down car seat, which I guess was pranksters had brought here. Maybe this is the thing that had been conveniently lying right under me, allowing me to escape instant death. Miraculous. Of course, I didn't know whether the miracle was fortunate or unfortunate. I'd failed to die, and now I was still stuck in this insane world. How long had I been unconscious for? The sun was high in the sky, so it looked like only 1 or 2 hours had passed. But my body's sluggishness didn't make it feel at all like it was so short a time had gone by. Mentally, it felt like I'd been asleep here for a decade. The more feeling returned to my body, the more pain flooded in. There's no way you don't have a broken bone. It hurt so much it would have been better not to have woken up. I needed to get it to a doctor. Yeah, to Coach's clinic. The term Coach's clinic brought memories back one after another, memories I wish I hadn't recalled. Satoko was no longer on the bridge. She would have returned to Hinamizawa by now. And she would put on some clothes, go to the clinic, get a checkup, and report on how crazy I had seemed. The police were waiting for me without a doubt. This time, would they find out for real that I had killed her uncle and arrest me? Or would they have just sent me to a mental institution like I thought they might? Still, I didn't care which it was. Please, someone stop all this pain. You can boil me or cook me after that, whatever you want. I began to walk unsteadily, just limping along. I went downstream and then through an animal trail-like path in the woods. I walked haphazardly, searching for a path I knew. How does he not have a fucking broken leg or two? Or a broken back? You land in a car seat. That's not going to stop you from breaking bones. Eventually, I finally came across a familiar road and set off towards the clinic. Not to my house, but to the clinic which had treated me like a lunatic. It was hot and humid. There was no wind, the air was stagnant. And for a while now, I've been smelling the terrible stench of burned eggs, and it made my face scrunch up. Then at last I noticed something. I couldn't hear any cicadas. It was the first time I had heard Hinamizawa be so utterly silent. Oh no. Then I thought back to it. It seemed like the birds always chirped in the morning. Cicadas always cried loudly in the afternoon, and Higurashi always rose up in chorus in the evening. Always something to hear. I couldn't hear a single insect. Oh no. The only thing I could hear was the rustling of the wind brushing the treetops. I never experienced this sort of quiet before. Everyone's fucking dead now. Even the only sound coming from the trees lacked life somehow. The trees were yellow and many leaves were spread on the ground despite it being too early for autumn. Even the weeds that had been growing so persistently at the edge of the side of the road had yellowed, burned, and lost their vigor. Something fucking happened. Everyone died, though. Only the sunlight itself was of the June Hinamizawa I knew, and yet it seemed like the season had switched all of a sudden. He could have been out for more than a day. And that definitely could be true. Like for a full 24 hours he was unconscious, and everyone died. Because the stream was running, it wasn't dry. So something happened while he was unconscious. Something major enough to dry up a river. Well, a stream, because I do remember that because I just went back to back from reading that, so. And I'll go it for as long as I can. Hopefully I'll find the end. Looking at the fallen leaves and rotting weeds led me to a spot of small insects turned on their backs. They weren't moving. They were corpses. I looked closer to see insect corpses scattered all around, like a child had collected them as samples and then strewed them about. This stench, what was it? It was terrible, like burned eggs. Combined with all the bug corpses and leaves falling from the trees in summer. Had someone sprayed herbicides or pesticides around here? Even at school we apparently fumigated. They call it pest disinfection or something, once or twice a year. I hadn't run into anybody, despite how bright it was outside. It was mid-afternoon, and yet it felt like I was sauntering about at midnight. Well, with the smell, nobody would want to be walking around outside. What was this anyway? There was no sound, no noise, not even a breath. Hinamizawa was silent. The school would come into view right after turning this corner, and yet I couldn't hear any commotion at all. None of the shouts or grunts that children always made. It was simply quiet. Just as pretending to ignore the silence had grown intolerable, I saw the school. And finally I heard something. It was the sound of a few trucks. There were a few very tall trucks parked in the schoolyard, idling. About 10 workers in raincoats were unloading things from their trunks. It was hot and humid even in my casual clothing. I couldn't imagine how unbearable that must have been. And then I remembered. Our school was rented from the Forest Service Field office building, wasn't it? It wasn't strange at all for Forest Service trucks to be doing some kind of work in the schoolyard. Besides, what did forest rangers do anyway? I felt bad for them having to work in such heat, and with such a stench about. They were taking colorful cargo out of the truck, lining it up in the schoolyard. They were containers, fairly large ones, inside multicolored patchwork bags. Heavy, too, they were being carried in pairs. They lined them up very neatly, like tuna at a riverside fish market. Several dozens, hundreds of tuna were completely lined in a fairly wide schoolyard up. I forgot my pain for a while, captivated at this big forest ranger job I'd never seen before. As I stood there watching in daze, the people in raincoats working on the other side noticed me. One of them pointed me out and they shouted a few things back and forth. I thought they might yell at me for getting in their way, so I decided to leave post-haste. But then 2 trucks drove up behind me. I stepped aside and they entered the schoolyard. Sheets covered the trucks, but I could tell they were completely full. As they passed, there was an awful smell that made me want to choke. It wasn't the smell of burned eggs same as before, but an even worse one like rotten crab meat. Oh my god. They're fucking lining up the bodies. Oh my god. They're like a government agency. What on earth was it? I've been enshrouded in one terrible stench after another all day. Then certain white letters emblazed on the side of the passing trucks caught my eye. Ground Self-Defense Forces. What? Self-Defense Forces like the army? Why was the army in the schoolyard? Those are all dead bodies. Hey you! Where did you come from? Suddenly, someone slapped me on the shoulders from behind. Fuck you! I turned around and a canopied SDF Jeep was parked there. The SDF person had on a green raincoat and a gas mask like in the movies, carrying a compressed air cylinder. He didn't look normal. There wasn't an inch of exposed skin anywhere. Where did I... Ow, ow! When I tried to talk, I stretched a wound on my head. It made the SDF people exchange glances. I couldn't see their faces through their masks, but they seemed surprised. God, it must have been more than a day. Because there's no way you can mobilize like an army response in just a day. Like, that's a while. Fuck. What the hell happened? Besides, he wished everyone to die. Do you live in Hinamizawa? Can you tell us for your name and address? Yeah, well, yeah, I sort of live here. My name is Keiichi Maebara. Oh, and my address is Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. After seeing me tell them my name and address, without hesitation, one of the SDF people watching from the Jeep started talking into our radio. Base, do you read? Base, do you read? We have a 402 survivor discovered. I repeat, we have a 402. We found a survivor. He's in front of the Forest Service office. This is Base. We copy. Secure the survivor at once. What is his status? Healthy. Wounded all over, but not fatally. He can walk on his own. We'll send him to HQ for safety. I was prepared to go along with the police, but the SDF? I couldn't help but think seemed a little bit much. They urged me into the back of the Jeep, and then they told me to put on this gigantic gas mask. I did so, and one of the troops fiddled around with it, strapping it tightly to me. It was heavy, hard to see out of, hot and difficult to breathe. Just looking at the world through the lenses made it lose its sense of reality. My breathing sounded like some gigantic monster through the mask. At this point, I had no idea what was happening. I'm so fucking lost. With much trepidation, I asked the trooper adjusting my mask. Excuse me. Has something happened? Where were you? What were you doing? Hey, don't answer a question with more questions. I was the one asking you. I fell from a rope bridge way back in the mountains. I think I passed out on the riverbed. I don't actually know what day it is. Today is June 22nd, 1983. Wednesday. That surprised me. Satoko pushed me off on the bridge on Tuesday the 21st. I was right. Called it. He was out for a day. Fucking called it. Look at me calling shit. Let's go. That meant I'd been asleep on that riverbed for an entire day. Forgive me for asking again, but did something happen? Why is the SDF here? Is this a drill? Had my question been that difficult for him? None of the troopers would answer me. The one in the driver's seat, talking on his own radio, turned on the vehicles. He turned the dial on some broadcast station and another came in. I started to listen to the voice of a radio announcer I was familiar with. Was conducted at the Prime Minister's office. In regards to question from the press that the SDF not responding to the disaster promptly was directly related to this unprecedented, unheard of catastrophe. Chief Cabinet Secretary Okuno had this to say. And so I believe that once the SDF received the dispatch order from the prefectural government, they responded promptly. Oh, well, it's a female now. I don't give a fuck. He has a very feminine voice. According to him, the SDF was prompt to respond to the crisis after receiving their orders. He implied that it was the prefecture's responsibility for taking too long to comprehend the situation. When did the governor who requested the SDF's dispatch actually became aware of the outbreak of such an unprecedented catastrophe? And did he not invite further damage because of the time lost before he sent the request for disaster relief? In other words, because of bureaucracy. We are awaiting further investigation into the matter. That was Mr. Okuda, reporting from the Prime Minister's office official residence. At this point, we can take another look at the political response following this disaster. In the middle of the night between June 21st and June 22nd, a large-scale disaster broke out in Hinamizawa Shishibone. Details have not been investigated, but there was an eruption of volcanic gas from somewhere in the Hinamizawa area. The gas was relatively heavy and it was spewed out and began to flow. That flow went down along a small river and headed directly into Hinamizawa village. After a few hours, it had covered the entire region. It happened in the middle of the night, 2 to 4 a.m. Every home and household in the village was affected. With most of the residents asleep, it's thought that all died without noticing the crisis. The catastrophe striking in the middle of the night caused its detection to become too late. And that was still one small opportunity to have noticed. 3 a.m. A news deliverer's shop in Okinomiya sent a vehicle carrying the morning newspaper to its branch office in Hinamizawa. Usually the shop would be contacted upon the vehicle's arrival, but this morning that didn't happen. The news dealer's shop made repeated calls but got no response. The shopkeeper sent his eldest son to check on the things, but they lost contact with him as well. It's extremely regrettable. If they had contacted the police or fire department at this point, it's highly possible the situation would have turned out more positively. At the very least, it's possible that a portion of the village might have been saved from tragic annihilation. 6 a.m. Residents in the areas in the small village region began continuously calling 119 to report the smell of rotten eggs, dizziness, nausea, and headaches. Fire department received the same reports, all the same confirmed confined region. They speculated a truck loaded with chemicals may have gotten into an accident and reported it to the local police. 6:30 a.m. Contact was lost with the patrol car on duty in Hinamizawa area after the officer reported the smell of rotten eggs. The local police considered the possibility of a large-scale disaster involving highly lethal gas and reported it to the prefectural and prefectural police at 7:15 a.m. 8 a.m. The governor was traveling to nearby prefectures to inspect, so in accordance with regulation, this prefectural and environmental disaster prevention chief was provisionally escalated to Director General and set up to Disaster Countermeasures Office. Fuck, these words are getting so long. However, without contacting the governor, the countermeasures came too late. As has recently been pointed out by citizens, his trip was with honorary diet members to inspect other prefectures was based solely on good relations, and it's rumored they preoccupied themselves with a drinking party. Sources closer to him claimed the governor had been drinking all night and had gone to sleep in a drunken state. He was completely drunk when the environmental chief phoned him as well, and apparently he could not get him to pay any attention to the matter. Wow. So it was failure on multiple levels. And so it took about an hour for the governor to sober up and gain understanding of the situation and gather information. That's fucked up. Though not as extreme as the governor's case, the environmental chief who became director general in the governor's absence will likely also be questioned about his negligence. In addition, without any procedures in place on the prefecture's side that predicted catastrophes this massive, they'd always react too late, and that ended up being fatal. 9:12 a.m. On the advice of prefectural police, the governor requested a disaster relief mission from the SDF. 7 hours after the start. 5 to 7 hours after. By the time the chemical defense unit equipped with protective equipment arrived at the scene, 8 hours had already passed since the incident's outbreak. No, not 8 hours, 7 hours. Because if it started from 2 to 4, it's anywhere from 7 to 5. Come on, man. Whatever the case may be, it was unfortunate this happened while everyone was sleeping in the middle of the night. Had the same disaster occurred during the day, it likely would have been entirely different. All households in Hinamizawa village were wiped out. There were over 1,000 victims. The SDF is still confirming the situation on the ground, but their results are predicted to only increase that number. Here with us in studio today is Dr. Fujiwara, a professor at the university who is well equipped acquainted with volcanic disasters. Doctor, can such a sudden and horrible outburst of poisonous gas actually happen? It isn't all that unusual for this to happen around craters at least. Japan is a volcanic nation and so has many active volcanoes. There's always a danger of hazardous gas all around. In many of these craters, it's generally a rule among mountain climbers not to go near them. Does this mean the rotten egg smell that visited Hinamizawa was the normal sort of gas from volcanic craters? Yeah, it's sulfuric gas. Sulfur has the smell of rotten eggs. Not burnt eggs, but rotten. Judging by how it smelled like rotten eggs, we think it was hydrogen sulfide, a gas seen particularly frequent in accidents compared to other volcanic gases. Hey look, I was right. Sulfur. Haha. I know my chemistry. If it's dense, it becomes extremely dangerous. Hinamizawa is very far away from the craters of any volcanoes. Can hydrogen sulfide be generated even from a place not close to a crater? I don't know all the details, so I can't say anything concrete. But in other countries, there are records of gas eruptions due to magma buildup under hot springs. It's an extremely rare event, but it was possible for such a thing to happen even in a region not near craters. Thank you very much, Doctor. We appear to have an announcement from the Japan Defense Agency. Oh my good god. God, this fucking sucks. Miss Morikawa, are you there? Yes, I'm at the Japan Defense Agency. The agency has just made an announcement regarding the source of the Hinamizawa Village gas disaster. Analysis from the Ground Self-Defense Forces Department of Chemistry has found that the gas was a mixture of carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide. Miss Morikawa. Oh goddamn, why do I keep calling her that? Morikawa, do you know whether the gas is still erupting or spreading to nearby areas? According to the SDF's 9th Division, who are currently engaged in a rescue operation at Hinamizawa Village, the gas density is steadily decreasing. They've announced that the damage will not spread. However, it does not change the fact that surrounding areas are still in danger and that very strict observation must be maintained. That was Morikawa from the Japan Defense Agency. And now we have a report on the state of those who have been made to evacuate the Okinomiya area. Shinozaki Elementary School is one of the evacuation sites, and we currently have a reporter on scene. Buzz. It's almost Onozaki, but it's not. Haha. Wait. What? Inside the Jeep, clamoring and bouncing around along the rough road, none answered my murmured question. An unprecedented catastrophe had destroyed Hinamizawa in a single night? Where was Hinamizawa Village anyway? Someplace deep in the mountains, right? Names of places I'd heard about on the radio were always like that. They were all places I'd never heard of, much less knew the locations of. Wiped out. What does that mean? Don't they usually say how many died and how many were injured? How many people were alive? Where did everyone evacuate to? Eventually we came into view of Coach's clinic. For the first time I saw a flag of Japan hanging on a pole outside. Japan's circular song hung down as though exhausted. Half-staff? Or is that just an American thing? Many SDF tents were set up in the clinic's big parking lot, and many strict security vehicles were parked there as well. The reason they said they didn't give numbers is because everyone died, Keiichi. When they saw the Jeep coming, men in white clothing and gas masks came running out of the clinic, frantic, carrying a stretcher. You're going to be alright. How do you feel? Can you walk? Yeah. Ow. Oh god, nothing is weirder than a fucking stretcher. Good god, I hate being on stretchers. It is the weirdest fucking feeling. Because you're so fucking high up, god, it gives you such the illusion that you're just gonna tip right over. It's the worst. And because of my owls, they forced me to lay in the stretcher anyway. People who seemed like doctors were looking at me and notifying others of my condition via radio. Multiple wounds, high possibility of fractures and internal damage. Large laceration in the head. Pupils normal, but even without bleeding from the fundus, brain damage is still possible. And then from the clinic entrance, people lying on stretchers were brought outside to replace me. Judging by their clothing, they were from Hinamizawa, and that's how I knew they were victims. They brought the stretchers in front of a truck. Mion, please be alive. Mion, be alive. If she was the only survivor, I would be happy. I would be like, yes, we come out on top. Two troops holding shoulders and legs, like some kind of baggage, picked them up and threw them into the trunk. Okay, please don't be Mion. In the trunk of the truck, people's bodies piled in heaps. They were just like baggage, and that told me they were already nothing but shells. Fuck. Everyone's dead. At that time, I remembered all those colorful sacks filling the trucks, and them lined up in the schoolyard like a fish market. Hundreds of empty shells. Corpses. Corpses, 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 corpses. Oh my good god. Corpses, corpses! I have to fucking say it like 10 billion times. You jackasses! Don't you just throw victims in like that? They lived here. The troops carrying the sacks answered me with a humble salute. Salute. The world didn't need this insane version of Hinamizawa. My final wish, again, it was granted. It's all your damn fault. I didn't understand anything anymore. None of it mattered. I wished I cursed, and then it happened the next day. Then please, tomorrow morning, let me die. That insane night, it's still going on. Please end it already. Fuck. Hey, he's lost consciousness. Shout his name, quickly. Mayabara, can you hear me? If you can hear me, just blink. Mayabara, Mayabara, Mayabara. Suddenly the world didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't interested in their cries. His breathing stopped. Get his respiratory tract open. Use CPR. Make him live. Damn it, damn it. No more dead people. No, he deserves to die. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. I could hear the voices of a man crying and screaming in my ears. Nobody deserves to die. Those words came from his heart. They were so commonplace, and they soaked into my heart too. Maybe it was a mistake to take someone's life, even if it was to save Satoko. It was. If this is the price I had to pay, this horrible tragedy, then it's a little much, Oyashiro-sama. Why did you never punish me? Come to think of it, Satoko said something. Oyashiro-sama's actual curse never goes for the target at first. It kills everyone they love before that. Oyashiro-sama's curse. Well then, Mion would die every fucking time. She would just come back and then die. If it truly was like that. It was a convenient excuse I told myself at the very end. That wasn't my curse that destroyed it, but Oyashiro-sama's. Given that I was in a stretcher, this next bit might have been obvious. But last of all, I realized one thing. Yeah. Today, I had not heard those footsteps following me, even once. And now I was liberated, and the cries of the Higurashi I couldn't have been hearing filled my mind. Their tearful ensemble was the only funeral march I had. Oh, man. June 22nd, 1983, early morning. White said, disaster occurred in Hinamizawa village, Shishabone Prefecture. Volcanic gas, carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide erupted from Onagafuchi Swamp, one of Hinamizawa area's water sources, and spread through the village. There were 1,200 victims, 20 of them had gone missing. The catastrophe was unprecedented. Local governments dug approximately 600,000 people. According to the later investigations, magma pools and hot springs were uncovered directly under Onagafuchi Swamp, and the gas had gushed from it was determined to be the cause of the disaster. In addition, directly after the incident broke out, many came forth claiming this disaster was a curse based on Hinamizawa village legends, first sparking a wave of chaos. There are apparent local legends of a curse spreading a miasma destroying the village, and some scholars believe a similar gas disaster may have happened in the past, remain part of its history. More extreme periodicals suggested this was an extension of the string freak death incidences that had been happening in recent years. That it's Oishiro-sama's curse. In addition, relatives of those in Hinamizawa village who had escaped the disaster complained of sickness afterwards and were hospitalized. Some of them even died. On top of that, several relatives that professing to be possessed by Oishiro-sama's curse committed suicide in strange ways, and the impact the disaster has had on the entire nation can no longer be ignored. While visions of terrible toxic gas sneaking around in the middle of the night, killing people, has spilled across the country, causing a steady stream of people complaining of insomnia, difficulty breathing, headache, dizziness, etc. Some who identified themselves as being possessed as being doing odd things. Most of these people were mistakenly attributed by the tabloid press. Tragedy Hinamizawa syndrome is basically it was all being made up. The Hinamizawa village region, the objective of all kinds of rumors and speculation, is currently closed off and prohibited. Though prohibition was at one point undone as a result of the decrease in the gas density, but that autumn another gas burst was confirmed, leading to the area being cordoned off again. Words that the area fuck me. Ah, God, I hate it moves so fast. Only one survivor remains, Keiichi Maebara, age 16, who lived at Hinamizawa village. I'll do 18. Fuck it. At the time of rescue, he had some trouble breathing due to fluid buildup in his lung, but as a result of life-saving procedure, is kept alive. He's currently in a general hospital. The press has been asked for him for some time, but all interviews are being refused. What did he see in Hinamizawa? What happened between June 1st and June 22nd in Hinamizawa village? Today he remains silent, unwilling to speak of it. Fuck. Is that the end? Great Hinamizawa disaster and memorandum list. Jiro Tomatake, real name unknown, Mio Takano. Strangled to death, burnt. Uishi. I don't care. Ire, committed suicide. Rika Furude, murdered at the shrine. Outbreak of 6/22/1983. Rena Ryugu, Mion Sonozaki, fuck. Oryu Sonozaki, Satoko Hojo, Tepe Hojo. Ichiro Maebara, Aiko Maebara. Hey, their first names. Daika Tomita, Suguharu Okumura, Rumiko Chie, Kimiyoshi Kamaeda. Oh no, no! Shion Sonozaki committed suicide at the victim hospital. Attempted suicide at the victim's holojet. Fuck me, that's going by so fucking fast. Higurashi when they cry. Oh my god. Partner in crime, Miyata Zakura. Scripting. Wow, this is the first time it's actually done this shit. Oh god. Stop scrolling so fast. I can't read everything. I'm gonna have to go back and pause it just to be able to read everything. God, I'm not even gonna attempt rating this, but this was amazing. I'm glad that they gave him like a full thingy. I don't know why they're doing it for this. There's still another question arc left. I don't know. Grade by 07th. Expansion. It was good though. I liked it. Oof. I'll give my feelings later because I'm really tired now. Higurashi when they cry. 07th presents Welcome to Hinamizawa when they cry. And that is the end. Probably. Of chapter 3. Wow, I blitzed through the end of that. Good God, I recorded for like 2003 late summer. Oh, never mind. Huh. Wow, this is a while later. An elderly couple leaving in Osaka Prefecture. Actually, thank God. Unwilling to... because I actually missed something. Refused. Word is that the area is sound asleep, all trace of its former life intact and left to rot. Mental issues arising from the even began to call the mental issue arising from... Okay, so it got its own name. But this is a while later, 2003. An elderly couple living in Osaka Prefecture discovered a cassette tape while organizing the possessions of their son who passed away 8 years ago. Their son went missing when his fishing boat capsized in 1995. He was 45 at the time of his death. 8 years later, in 2003, they had begun to organize their son's remains in order to organize their minds and came across the cassette tape in question. Well, I was gonna, say it was like his parents, but it's not because I made the point of saying, hey, I don't remember those parents. Because they actually gave their first names. From 1975 to 1989, the deceased had experienced working as a journalist for a photography periodical, and his tape is thought to have been created during that time. The label on the tape read 11/28, 1983, Keiichi Maebara. Ooh! It's thought that the tape was recorded during an interview with Keiichi Maebara, the only survivor of the Great Hinamizawa disaster that occurred in June 1983. As the only person who lived through the disaster on the night of June 21st, shrouded in mystery, many interested parties attempted to question him, but he never once spoke physically to anyone in a public place. Therefore, the tape caused quite a stir, possibly being an extremely high value. Click. It's really hard to talk about stuff when I know I'm being recorded. Please, don't worry about it. Here, it won't be a problem if I do this, right? After this, the sound quality dramatically decreases. Did he cover the recording device with something? He probably put it in his pants. Like in his shorts. Or his pocket. Then let's get started. Here's my first question. Keiichi, where were you on the night of the great disaster? I had gone behind the shrine, and took a path through the woods for a while. There's a rope bridge there. A little while before you get into the mountains. I fell from there and lost consciousness. Did this happen during the night of the disaster between the 21st and the 22nd? No. It was the morning of the 21st on Tuesday. Which means I woke up in the afternoon of the next day. I think it was out for a day and a half. Why on earth were you there? I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to know, but the bridge you fell from that day, a weekday I might add, was quite far from both your house and the school, wasn't it? Speaking frankly, there are some who say you knew of the great disaster beforehand, and fell from the rope bridge as you were trying to flee the village. This isn't a joke. Please don't be so arbitrary about this. I think it's a terrible thing to say, too. Please don't be offended. And anyway, about the rope bridge you fell from. It was right here on the map, right? The rope bridge beyond the back of the shrine, and through the path in the woods. Probably. I never went out there, so I can't say for sure. I guess I just want to know why you were out somewhere you'd never been before on a weekday morning. And then, well, about the riverbed you fell unconscious on. Have you heard the rumors about that being impossible? Impossible. That word. Again. For a little while, Keiichi mutters the word impossible several times. Why would it be impossible? You know how the volcanic gas originated in the Onagafuji swamp. Some scholars did some pretty dedicated simulations and modeling and discovered something very interesting. The volcanic gas was heavier than the air, so it went along the ground, flowing into lower and lower places, kind of like what water does. And with Onagafuji swamp as its source, they were able to test how much time it would take for the gas to erupt and spread across the whole village. So well, that riverbed you were unconscious on, the gas, it would have flowed down there. I don't really understand what you're getting at. In other words, if you really passed out on that riverbed, you would have been in the middle of all the toxic gas that was spreading everywhere that night. That means that there was no chance you could have been passed out there. He was probably underwater. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Fuck me. Allow me to be a little more frank. I think that maybe you might be telling a lie. During the Great Heat disaster, you were hiding in a safe place, keeping an eye out for when the gas got thinner, then reappeared and were secured by the SDF. How about that? Is that right on the mark? For a short time, the journalist presses Keiichi Maebara further in a teasing way, but all that can be heard are heavy sighs. Even if that was the case, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. What do you mean you wouldn't be surprised? Was this recording really taken of Keiichi Maebara? Some harbor suspicion. You said it before, didn't you? That it was impossible. Impossible things happen in Hinamizawa all the time. There are people who shouldn't exist. Dead people end up alive. It's not really that unusual. Never thought I, of all people, would be asked to prove that I was still alive when I was supposed to have died. The journalist and Keiichi both laughed for a while. To vary its authenticity, I had others in the Maebara family check tapes with his voice in it. However, the sound was not clear, and much time had passed, so the relatives I checked that with couldn't remember what he sounded like. I was unable to gain positive proof it was actually Keiichi Maebara's voice. Alright then, I'll change the subject. What do you think of the debate about whether this disaster was the cursed 5th year of the serial freak death incidences in Hinamizawa? I don't think it was. I think the curse that year after all. I think I was the curse that year after all. Huh? What do you mean? I was just answering the question. Doubts also remain regarding the date 11/28 written on the tape. The curse, well, you probably won't believe me when I tell you this. How long did he live afterwards? That's what I want to know. I was the one who caused it. I was the one who wished for the whole village to die, and it happened. Haha, what an exciting story. Exciting? I suppose you could call it that. After Keiichi Maebara's failed suicide attempt on a certain August day, 2 months after the disaster, he was diagnosed with a mental disorder and transmitted to a treatment facility. I was the one who killed Takano, and Coach and Oishi too. At the time I had some kind of divine power. Yeah, I suppose it was like footsteps. Footsteps? Wait, what's that supposed to mean? Have you never heard footsteps before? Tip-tap, click-clack, coo-coo-coo. The facility never allowed any news coverage, so it is extremely unlikely that a tape of the media dated after August 1983 would have had his voice on it. God. Say, when you're walking around, try stopping suddenly. Something interesting will happen. Anyway, if you hear an extra footstep, even though you'd already stopped walking, you better be careful, you know. Yeah, I'll be careful. Is what I'm saying really that funny to you? However, the reporter had been criticized for his forceful methods of collecting data while he was active, so there's a possibility that he broke into the facility and forced Keiichi Maebara to talk. You've been doing nothing but laugh in my face this whole time. You're just like Coach. You pretend to sympathize with me, to listen to what I have to say, but your eyes are telling me you think I'm a lunatic. That's not true. No, I can tell. Your eyes are the same as Coach's. Is this truly Maebara's voice? The authenticity of this recording is still wrapped in mystery. I never heard the footsteps again after that day. So I don't think I have the terrible power anymore. Perhaps right here, right now, I'll wish for you to die. I'll wish for your death for saying all these unpleasant things. Yeah, this time, why don't I decide how you die? Takano was burned to death, so let's go with the opposite, with water. Oh, fuck. I hope you drown and die. How's that? 15 years after this tape was created, the reporter, just as Keiichi Maebara predicted, died in an accident out on water. If I'm on top form, like I was then, you'd die before tomorrow morning for sure. Now then, I wonder how many days it'll take for you to drown. You'd better be careful, you know. Don't go getting yourself killed by some stupid curse I put on you, okay? The recording ends in the middle of Keiichi Maebara's laughter. Oh God. And Keiichi Maebara? When did he die? Late on the night of 11/30, 1983, 2 days after the interview, he suddenly died from a high fever, cause unknown. Records remain of the strange words he kept giving after pressing the call button the day before he died. An extra set of footsteps. Oh. Wow. 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 Oh God. That's the end. That's the end. Wow. Oh God, that ending. Oh, that was it. Fuck me. New scenario. All cast review has been available. Press extra and all that stuff. Fuck me, that. I don't even know what to fucking think. That. Shit. Damn. Well, that's the end. Good God. I just fucking powered through the last 3 hours of this game. Holy shit. Oh, more than 3 hours, actually. Fuck me. Almost 4. Christ. Well, at least I'm set for recordings for a little bit. Well, hopefully it's still streamed this Friday. Thank you guys for watching so much. I like this chapter a lot. It was good. I was worried I wouldn't like it nearly as much with Satoko being the main focus, but it was still good. It was definitely more interesting. No, I don't want to say more interesting. Curse-wise, it was definitely strange. I am completely mind-fucked. I am beyond belief. I don't understand anything anymore. I thought I was getting a clear picture, but no. I have a lot of shitty questions. Now I have to fucking wait until the next chapter, one of the answer arcs to come out. That sucks. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe, and if you haven't already, I love seeing that number go up. Check out all my live streams and all the videos of past live streams. You can still check those out, because I keep those up. I keep those recorded. If not, I'll just download it and then re-upload it to YouTube. I might do that. I could make a highlight video, because there are some funny fucking moments from last stream. Because it was bugging the shit out, and it was hilarious. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. And see you for the all-cast review, and then the next chapter. Chapter 4, Last Question arc. I'm beyond hype. See you then.